Hi, it's Carlos from RC Advisor. Today I'm reviewing the Hobby King battery monitor, and it's a very simple device, but the idea behind it is you put it in your airplane, you fly around, airplane or helicopter, you fly around, and it's got a light that comes on and starts changing color and blinking, and then when the voltage gets relatively low, there's a buzzer that goes off, so you hear the buzzer and you know it's time to land before you lose power. It doesn't weigh much. I just weighed it on my scale. It said 6 grams, and I know it doesn't use much power. I haven't measured it, but just a few milliamps, and there's not much to it. There's different versions that you buy because there's nothing on it that you can configure or change. So you have to buy different versions depending on how many cells in your battery pack, and this one is for 3 cell battery packs. I think all of them sell for about $4, so it's not a lot of money, and some cheap insurance. So I bought it. I said, gee, maybe it's something that I can use, so let me put it on my airplane. And I put it on Kilo 3D the last time I went and flew it. And I have a couple of caveats about it. The truth is that it really wasn't very useful. But before I get to that, the first issue I ran into is that the connector is not soldered to the wires, the way it comes, which just didn't make any sense to me. I mean, the instructions, it's got good instructions, and they say that an alternative way of doing this is to solder it directly to the wires on the battery. But I think almost everybody is going to want to use the connector, and the connector goes to the charge plug on the battery, which I thought was that was smart and easy. But it's a lot easier to cut off the connector if you don't need it than to have to solder it, especially these tiny little wires. So I had to do the soldering myself, and it wasn't hard, but it's something that I wish I didn't have to do. But then having soldered it, I can see that the wires are a bit on the flimsy side, and the connector is a little bit delicate, so I can see that this might cause problems in the long term with the wires breaking off, or the having a bad connection, because every time you change the battery on the airplane, you have to disconnect this. So it's not like you're going to just be doing it once and just leaving it there on the airplane. So that could have been better. But the real problem with this is that it's just really hard to see, and it's really hard to hear in the airplane, which is the whole point of it. In fact, here I have a couple of batteries here. Let me see. I think this one has more power, more charge to it. So I'm going to plug it in. So that's the blue, and it goes through like 4 different cycles. Let me bring it in close so you can see the blue color on there. But it goes through 4 cycles. It starts out as solid blue, and that means that it's good. Then it goes into a flashing blue, which means you're getting lower. Then I believe it goes into solid red, and then the final stage is blinking red with the buzzer going on and off, and I'll show you that in a minute because this battery is discharged. But I tested it indoors, and I saw the blue, and I was like, gee, that's nice and bright. I can see that. But I went outside to the field, and forget it. I mean, it didn't take much of a distance at all before the color, you couldn't see the color at all. And in fact, I never saw it while the airplane was flying. I'm talking just while the airplane was on the ground, just a few feet from me. So the color just didn't work very well outside, which was a disappointment. So then but I flew my airplane, and the thing is, of course, you can tell when you start losing power. And I was flying around. I was losing power. So I'm okay. Time to come and land. So I brought in the airplane closer, and I didn't. The airplane must have been. It couldn't have been more than 30 feet from me when I first heard the buzzer, And this, and I pretty much had shut off the power off to the airplane. You know, maybe I had it on low, but you know, there wasn't a lot of power there, and it was just really hard to hear. And I had a friend standing next to me, and he never heard it. Now, of course, I had heard the buzzer before, so that may have helped me. You know, I knew kind of what to listen for, and you know, there was kind of a rhythmic, you know, beep, 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 and I'll show you in a minute. But of course, at that, you know, I was in the landing pattern at that point. You know, it wasn't telling me anything I didn't already know. And when the airplane was up higher, maybe it started buzzing, but I never heard it. And you know, I was the only one out flying that day. So I'm like, what is the point of this? You know, maybe you're going to be doing like a 3D airplane that's 10 feet away from you, or indoor. But you know, I think the real value of this is when you have, you know, a bigger airplane that you're going to be flying a little bit away from you, and you want some warning. And, you know, of course, you do get a warning from losing power, and that's what I normally rely on. And I think I'll continue to rely on that, because this really wasn't any good. So anyway, let me show you what it sounds and looks like when it is in the alarm mode. So started out blue. Oh, I think this is the wrong battery. So this is the one I showed you before. Let me take it out and do the other one. This one is charged. This is the one that's low. Okay. So that's the buzzer. I guess it doesn't flash red. It's just steady red when it's low. But it's just not very loud. You know, that's a real disappointment. I mean, you don't want the lights taking up a lot of power because they're on all the time. But once the buzzer comes on, you know, you want to be able to hear this, and that's, you know, that's not very loud. So anyway, you know, I think this product, I mean, it worked exactly as described. You know, I think it's well designed. That's why I like this interface to the charge plug, and I wish I didn't have to solder that. That's definitely a minor, but I just have to wonder how well it was tested. You know, you need to be able to see and hear this. That's the bottom line. Otherwise, it's no good, and you really can't, at least on the real world conditions. You know, real airplane, you know, flying outside. So I cannot recommend it. You know, it works fine, but I can't recommend it because it won't help you. So that's what I've got to say. Until next time.